don't know shit.
They
know what they know, but like when it comes to relationships and even with your kid, like you really do have to let them know.
I'm not going to use a paintbrush to knock down a door. You get what I'm saying? Like now that's what the conversation is about. That is so, where's the camera? That is so unrealistic. That is so unrealistic.
I had to learn that. I really believe that shit.
No.
What's up, you guys? Welcome to the 312 podcast. I am your host, Ashley Diana, a girl from Chicago creating spaces for millennials to have wholesome conversations that are real, they're raw, and they're relatable. We laugh a lot, we cuss a little bit, and we promise you're going to learn something about yourself when it's all said and done. Don't be shy. This is a safe space. So, what's the 312? What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the 312 podcast. I am your host, the Ashley Diana. If you're just joining, make sure after this episode you go back and catch up on all the good content we have in the previous episodes. And if you've been here since day one, thank you. As always, I love you. I appreciate you. And let's get to it. Today's episode, if you know me and if you've been following the podcast, the main thing that I want to do with this platform is to have those wholesome conversations, but also to shed light on individuals, people, organizations who are doing what needs to be done for our community around mental health, self-care, self-awareness. So today's episode, I will have my girl on here. She is a licensed family therapist, and she's an advocate for self-care, domestic violence, just mental and emotional well-being. So I thought this would be a great episode to bring her on to and have a conversation with her. There's so much stigma with mental health, as you all probably know, and it's probably something that you've experienced within the Black community, primarily, but a stigma overall. And I think that it should be something that we talk about a lot more. Like, everybody goes through shit. Everybody has emotions. So, and you don't always have to just go to therapy if there's something wrong with you. I think that that's something that people overlook a lot of times. Like, you can literally just go and talk through stuff, even if you're feeling okay. It's important that we know how to express our emotions as human beings. So let's get into this episode. I am very excited, you guys. So let's get to it. I love this color on you.
Thank you.
A lot of people can't do pink.
You know what?
And this is really cute.
That.
Really
I appreciate that. You look great yourself.
Thank you, honey.
As always.
I try.
As always. I always love your energy.
Thank you.
I feel like when we first met at the event, I felt like it was like, hey, girl, what's up? Had never met you in my life. So.
And it's crazy because you and Kyla have known each other for, wait, that's not your cousin, is it?
No.
Okay.
So
the other girl's her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I met her a few years ago.
Okay. But. Girl, that's my girl.
Yeah.
That's my girl. So I always know, like, anybody she brings around me, I'm like, they cool.
Good people.
Always. Because she don't like people.
Exactly. So there you go. I'm glad I made the cut.
Exactly.
Let's start there.
Well, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Yes. I was excited to get you on. And like I was talking about earlier in this clip, that my goal for this podcast and just for my platform in general is just to have like wholesome conversations. Mm-hmm. And then also to like lessen the stigma around mental health, right? We do enough to ourselves.
Yes.
So make it okay to talk, make it okay to talk about your emotions and everything like that. So, but anywho, welcome. And I didn't do this in my last episode. Damn. So in the beginning of every episode, we usually do a what's the 312. That's your check-in, how you're doing mentally, spiritually, emotionally, however you want to define it. But before then, we do have, not a cocktail, but we're bougie. We got rosé. Mm-hmm. She said rosé is fine for me, honey. Yes. I said, okay. So cheers to this episode. Happy Sunday.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yes, girl. You see how it like kind of tones down the sweetness a little bit?
Oh, yes. That's good. That's good.
And then when it gets down to soak them. I don't eat raspberries. Do you eat raspberries?
Nah, I don't go to the store and buy raspberries.
If it's there, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
But when it kind of infuses too, it sweetens them a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so put y'all on. If you have rosé, instead of putting like other fruit in it, because that shit gets way too sweet, try raspberries. So raspberry rosé. Because we fancy.
Next thing to do. Next thing to try.
So yeah, let's check in. What is the 312 with you, girl?
What is the 312? This is a great question. So So mentally, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably like a 6, 7.
Okay, in between.
I have a lot of big changes in my life happening right now. And
good changes?
Good changes, but change in general brings about some form of anxiety, you know? So we're just working through that every single day. I would say spiritually, 10 out of 10.
Okay. Yes. On this lovely Sunday.
Yeah, across the board. Like, you know, so I'm very grateful about that, to be able to be grounded, you know, in my faith. And, you know, everybody has their own thing. So I would definitely say 10 out of 10 with that. You said mentally, spiritually.
And then emotionally.
Emotionally. You know what? Emotionally, I would say, like, I'm good.
Good. I'd love to hear that.
I'm really good.
That's
and
good.
It's not that everything is perfect, but every single day I can get up and I can acknowledge where I'm at. You know, I feel like that is the trick of the trade. Good. It's not like figuring out how to be good every day, all day.
And that's not going,
it's
just
not sustainable.
Unrealistic.
Yeah.
Unrealistic. It don't happen like that. And it's not going to be okay on some days, and that's okay.
Exactly.
Restart the day.
But being able to be like, you know what, I'm an 8 out of 10 a day, and that's
and
cool.
That's what it is.
That's cool. Like, I feel like I'm there. So yeah, how about you?
I got to build up to there. I'm like on the scale of being okay and accepting what it is. I think I'm like in between. I'm getting there. This past couple of weeks have been like an emotional roller coaster for me. So like today right now I feel better. I woke up like anxious as fuck and like nervous. I feel like most times when I do the podcast I am. But again, a lot of changes have come about, or I won't even say changes, a lot of opportunities have presented itself to me, and it's required me to prepare myself and to realize that I wasn't as prepared as I thought.
Yeah.
So I've had to do some housekeeping, like professionally. So yeah, emotionally I'm up and down. Mentally, I'm strong. I feel mentally strong.
That's good.
I meditated this morning, and I feel like any day where I get to meditate, I feel good.
Yeah.
I sometimes may have to meditate 3 or 4 times a day, but that's okay.
It's about knowing where you at, knowing what you need. That's all it's about. So,
and spiritually, I feel good too. Maybe not a 10 out of 10. And I think just my spiritual journey is a work in progress as well.
Yeah.
So I don't like to say that because I'm not all the way there spiritually. But I had listened to earlier Sarah Jakes. She did I forget where it was at, but the title of that speech or her sermon was "Girl, Get Up."
I know what you're talking about.
I was like, you know what? Girl,
get up. Get up. Get up. Yeah.
So that felt good.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. I am okay. I'm happy. And I'm just we gonna keep it pushing.
Yeah.
I better days to come. So
I love that.
I'm cool with that. But yeah, so I gave him a little. I know it might look like we're jumping into it, but I already gave him a little intro.
Okay. You like, Ben had done that.
We gave an intro. As I told you guys, you are a licensed family therapist.
I'm not licensed.
Oh, not okay.
But I am a marriage and family therapist.
So how does is it like a separate testing that goes into it?
Yes.
Are you in that process of doing it? Okay.
So great question. Each degree is different.
Okay.
So like a LPC. I don't want to speak out of turn, but like LPCs and social workers and marriage and family therapists, we all have different like pathways to licensure.
Okay.
So with us specifically, it's based off of the state. You graduate in order, if you're at an accredited school, you have to take like a practice exam in order to graduate.
Okay.
But it takes about 2 years to get licensed post graduation.
Okay, so it's not something that like
it's not like you take the test, you pass, now you licensed.
Got it.
You know, so it takes some time, but you know, we're trekking along.
You are at where you need to be.
Yes, that's
so, and you still are able to like practice. You still get to see clients and things like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just like a process.
It's a process.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
That's cool. So let's talk about a little bit of background.
Okay.
I'm always interested to get into people's business.
Yes. I'm a therapist. That's literally me. So
and it might be flip. This might be a little therapy session that I'm letting y'all into today. You know, I might have some questions for myself for a friend. But so like what influenced you to want to go to school to be a therapist?
Yes, great question. I love this question. So I got my first master's from Texas Tech.
Because she got 2 masters.
Yes, I have 2 masters. So I got my first master's from Texas Tech, and there I was researching resiliency in African American romantic relationships.
Ooh.
So what external and internal factors contribute to resilient relationships, healthy relationships, and successful relationships, however we define it. And so I was able to be a part of a lot of like couple studies, but I felt like I was doing half of the job. Like, we're collecting data, we're doing interviews, we're conceptualizing our findings, we're producing it in research. But like, I've had interviews with couples, and I'm like, this man, he gotta go. Like, you don't see this.
You don't see this?
You don't see. I see it clearly.
Yeah.
You know. So I realized that I wanted a much more interpersonal experience. And specifically with us, I felt a disconnect with research because research is produced in collegiate environments. You have to have access to these journals. You get what I'm saying? And so we're further marginalizing, just our experiences with me being a part of a system where we're doing research, but like my people don't have access to it. And I wasn't like, that's just for what? Yeah. So I wanted to get on the ground and do the work. Good. And it was the best decision of my life. Like, it was everything that I needed. Okay. So yeah, that's that. When I was at Tech, I loved the work, but I knew that I wanted to be a part of progression. Like, I was doing all of this research, but I also wanted to facilitate healthier relationships and have these intimate conversations with people like us. Exactly. Yeah. And so that's what led me here, and it's lit.
Yeah, she said it's lit, honey. Lit. So have you, did you grow up with the tools or the resources to understand what like mental health was and like to be open to therapy? Like, was that something that you grew up with, or was it something that you learned to develop based off of like the research that you had?
I absolutely did not grow up with the resources.
I feel like not too many of us did.
No, like I grew up in a really like good home. Like, my mom's a single parent, but she is love personified. Yeah. So like, I grew up in a very stable, loving environment. But I think a lot of us growing up in Chicago, like, we have had traumatic experiences early on. That is such a norm for us that, I didn't realize it until I would go away to school. You know, I went to Mizzou for undergrad, and you meeting different people from different places, and you realize, like, oh, this not normal. It's right. But all of us is like, oh, this is our childhood, you know? So I felt like through school, I definitely learned different things. I learned how to articulate my emotions better, how to identify my emotions. And then even in my adulthood, I'm just now getting into the swing of being able to communicate what I need from other people or communicate what I need from myself. Hard. It takes years.
That's hard.
And I'm still in the process. Yeah. So
I love that you say that too, because and it's something that I have talked about on this podcast a few times now. I'm learning that communication piece being a mother. Because I'm like, this little, 5-year-old or even my son, I'm like, you gotta, learn how to communicate. I've always had this, I guess it's like personality that like, you should know. Or like, I'm very open. Like, I wear my emotions on the sleeve. You don't know what's wrong with me. Like, you don't know what Yes. But being a mom requires me to have that need to be able to communicate, and then also like teaching them. So it's definitely something that I'm working on too. And then, but that's also last year working on.
Yeah, that's healing for you though. I think people don't understand that when you are able to talk things out, it helps you as well. Like it helps your relationships, but like it's nothing like putting words to emotions. Yep. And you're like, dang, that's how I feel. I didn't even know that's how I felt. know, so.
Has with you being a therapist, and do you see a lot of clients, or have you you've had enough of a rapport to be able to reflect on? Good. Yeah. Have you been able to do like any healing for yourself? I'm sure you have, but I'm curious to that experience where you're like, damn.
Girl.
This person is me.
Girl.
Yeah.
Girl. It's like, where do I start?
Yeah.
So in school, and everybody's experience is going to be different, but I can only speak from like the MFT background. So we have this.
You said MFT?
Yeah, marriage and family therapy.
Okay, I'm like,
yeah.
I ain't look. I don't know.
So we have this like theology. I don't know what to call it, or ideology called self of the therapist.
Okay.
And so what we found is that when you're seeing clients, coincidentally, a lot of your clients are reflections of yourself, your own internal trauma. And so it's like yourself of the therapist is you checking in with like, okay, after this session, I need to go talk to my supervisor because that reminded me of my childhood. Or I found myself in the room thinking about my own stuff while I'm trying to show up, you know, for my clients. So,
and I'm sure it's hard to not do that.
We're human.
Yeah.
We're human. And so that's why, like, a good rule of thumb, I always tell my friends, ask your therapist if they have a therapist.
That was going to be my next question. Do you?
Yeah. So, no. I'm currently not seeing clients right now, and that's a part of the reason I don't have a therapist. I think that's like being a medical doctor and not having a doctor. It doesn't make sense to me.
Do you think that, or in your experience, is that the norm? Like many therapists don't have their own therapist, or is that something that is common?
I don't want to speak out of turn because I really don't know. I know for me and my like therapy friends, it's a priority.
Yeah, and it should be.
But I also think that's from our training, you know, but it's not required for a therapist to have a therapist. And for me, that can get really, really problematic because you have access to just such intimate parts of people that you can't just play with this, you know, and just go on a whim and do what you want to do with it. So,
and I feel like there are even other people, other industries, like even if you think about like nurses and doctors or police officers, like people who deal with the community, like high touch aspects of the community. I feel like everybody needs a therapist, but specifically people who have to essentially be like advocates for other people. And then especially like as a Black woman, I'm like, there's already so much trauma. And then being from Chicago, there's already so much more trauma. And then just being a individual human in today's society, there's trauma on top of trauma on trauma. You know, and a lot of people just don't really know how to tackle or to really understand like some of those just underlying issues. I remember when I went to therapy and my therapist just asked me questions, and it was like, it was most of the time where it was like nothing wrong with me, nothing I had to talk to her about, and then she would like bring up stuff, well, let's talk about this, or I remember we built out like my family tree, and like I was like in shambles, like, oh my God, this is what it is, you know, like little stuff that she brought out of me that I would have never, you know, thought to kind of ask myself. So I want to know too, speaking to your experience as a Black woman, in the as a therapist, have you faced any challenges like within your schooling, or like even within sessions with clients where you're like, you know, clients who are like non-Black or, you know, not someone of color? What are some of your challenges that you've experienced with that?
This is such a great question. I do want to preface my answer by just being very transparent and stating that I also feel like being a Black woman therapist is my superpower.
Absolutely.
Like, and this could have a lot to do with where I got my degree from, like Mercer University in Atlanta. You know, I'm in the Black Mecca, so it's like I can't speak for, you know, every other Black woman therapist, but I always felt like that was my superpower. I always felt like I was able to meet my clients right where they are. And I don't have to put on this, you know, this jargon and this whole intellectual talk in order.
They
like, no,
understood
it's
it.
me and you. And we are going to figure out what this space looks like for us in order to help you. And I feel like that's why my therapeutic relationships were so successful. Like, because I have that superpower of being a Black woman, and don't nobody know how this feel but us. And so, like, obviously we don't know what it feels like to be Black men, right? But we navigate in their world.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? And so it's like it's something that you can't teach. Like, you can't open a textbook and you know, so I feel like it's my superpower for sure. But I've definitely experienced some challenges. First off, what I realized is that the way that I advocate for other people, I don't advocate for myself.
Okay.
That's a challenge.
That's me not even being a therapist. That's just me.
That's being a Black woman.
Hello, I want to save everybody.
Look, like.
What about me?
Exactly. I feel like advocating for myself and what I may need in a moment. And it's like when you're in a caretaking position, whether you're a therapist, a nurse, a mother, an aunt, any type of caregiver position, it's like to kind of put yourself on the back burner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's
unintentionally most times. But I mean, and then sometimes it's just what it is. It's about them right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like being able to balance like my own mental health was difficult at times, but also I felt like I had really culturally competent professors and supervisors that I was always able to work through these things. I have in school, because like you can't choose your clients, right? Like you get what you can.
You just get it.
And so I've had experiences where I have worked with non-Black clients, and I wouldn't even want to put an S on it because it wasn't a lot per se, but people that were so out of touch with my positioning and me being a Black woman. Yeah. And it's like, okay, how much of this space do I hold, right? Because it's like, now your ideology and your perspective is also degrading to me and my experience. Yeah. What do I do about this?
That's a difficult... I don't know if I could be as strong. I'd
be
like, wait a goddamn, flip the tape.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it really would come to that.
Yeah.
But I feel like what I learned in school was that I think about the therapeutic space, and I always think about power. And I think about how it looks in the room. And I always am aware of my positioning, right? Like, so regardless of, being a Black woman, being young, being educated, some of those things present certain privileges, and some of those things don't. But also, this person is coming to me or coming to this facility for help, right? And so when you are the helper, you have a privileged positioning.
Yeah, you do.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so I always think of this space like as dodgeballs and them little bad little boys be hitting us upside the head. So I think about a dodgeball, and I think about, I don't ever want to have too much power in the room. You have to undo this with clients because they're like, but you're the therapist.
Yeah.
Girl, how long this gonna take? How long we gonna be here?
You got those questions.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. But for me, with my like therapeutic model of choice, you are the expert of your life. I'm here to literally like walk beside you, but you know how it feels to be Ashley. I don't. I get to see you 1 hour every single week. How I'm gonna tell you what to do? Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
I'm here to help you walk through your thoughts. And I love that you say that, because I think that's a big misconception when it comes to your therapist. And I love the therapist that I had. I'm not in therapy currently, but I am looking. And I had a white woman as a therapist. And what I will say, even though there were so many just different cultural differences, like when it came to certain issues that I were presenting to her, she would always lead with like, that isn't my experience, but I want to understand. And so she would ask me follow-up questions like, okay, what does that mean? Or, like I could tell that she really wanted to learn. Yeah. And it made me feel, I'm spitting, y'all. It made me feel more comfortable to talk to her about my like true experiences. Because I remember I did... what was it, Northwestern Family Institute. So I think she was I know she was a student because she ended up having to move when she graduated and like went to her actual position. I was so sad. If you're watching this, you know who you are. But I could tell, like, I don't know if I prefer having student therapists. Like, she just really wanted to learn. And she put me in the power and the position to say, hey, this is your experience. Yeah. I can't tell you how to feel. I can't tell you what you're going to feel. All I can do is, give you the tools to unpack this. Yeah. And she would always say that. And I'm like, I appreciated her so much. And for us to be of different ethnicities, I felt comfortable with that.
Yes.
But for sure, that was an amazing experience. So I wanted to piggyback off of
yeah,
of what
no,
you
that's
said
a
with
good.
that.
I'm happy that you said that because I've also had a white therapist in graduate school, and so when I was working on my first master's and also in college, I experienced a lot of racial trauma. Like the Mizzou students, we need to write a book.
I was gonna say some of the girls I went to high school with went to Mizzou, and I ain't want to even bring that out because I ain't trying to mess up no sponsorships.
Right.
But
We don't want to name drop,
goodness,
yes,
it was a little scary.
Yeah, it was definitely spooky.
Yeah.
So
spooky.
it's like,
were you there all 4 years?
Yes, I was there all 4 years.
But it's such a good school too.
It's
though.
a great school.
Yeah.
I loved my experience.
Yeah.
Despite I would have never wanted to go to any other university.
I say that about Macaulay in high school.
Look, but it wasn't until I got to tech and my experience was, I don't even want to get into it, but I knew I needed a therapist and I knew I needed a black therapist, and I'm happy that I had that experience. But I feel like if I did not have my black therapist before, then I wouldn't have been able to see, her name is Julie. I love her to death.
Yes.
Like, I had that same experience. It's not about I think sometimes it's important for clients to feel like the person across from them understands, but I also find it therapeutic for people to ask questions because we live in our own little bubbles, right? So our worlds still collide. I don't know what it feels like to be Ashley, but I'm sure there's some overlap just with us being black women. But we don't talk those things through because we don't have to. Because it's girl,
understood.
I know how I feel to be you.
Understood.
I got you, girl. But to talk.
I understood what you said. I ain't even got to cut you off.
It's cool. But to talk through that stuff and you dang, that's why. It's this person is learning, but you're also learning too, in a sense. So. That can be very helpful.
It can be, and I can definitely see that. So I do have a question.
Yeah.
And
it's when you tilt your head like that, I'm what's up coming out her mouth?
I have a question. Because it was a lot that was going on social media around this conversation. And are you in a relationship?
I actually am.
Why did the actually come out? Is this a new relationship? Yes, come on, boyfriend or boyfriend. Is a boyfriend?
I ain't had a man in a little minute.
What's a little minute?
I wasn't expecting that. Well, my last relationship, it ended a few years ago, but we still cool.
Okay,
we still cool.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't do the drama.
No,
I
wish I didn't have to, but.
Everybody,
outside of my child's father, the rest of them niggas ain't shit. Sorry.
And it be like that.
Sorry.
It be like that. It really be
wish
like
I never met you. So
yes.
And then you are a family therapist, so I'm sure you have spoken with couples.
Yeah.
Married couples, single couples, all of that. Have you done premarital sessions?
I've done premarital work. My favorite experience that I've had, I'm not gonna call myself I don't have a specialty in it,
right?
But working with non-monogamous couples,
really?
or clients that it would be one guy and two girls or two guys, and yes, I loved it.
What?
People that identify themselves as non-monogamous, or even I'm forgetting the word.
Polygamy.
Polygamous, yes.
Woo.
When I tell you the boundaries, the communication
They're
skills,
good. They're good.
They raw.
And I feel like that you need that.
Yes.
In order to, even if you just have a threesome.
Yes.
You have to communicate my I got safe words. Not me,
Yep.
I don't have threesomes. I don't know. You got to know how to communicate.
You have to.
It's multiple people.
Yep.
Wow. Have you had any I'm so interested. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
See. Have you had married
polygamous?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So
it was always infidelity with the married clients.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
So with that being said, have you been presented with the and I feel like this is a yes, but I want to dive into this conversation. But presented with either the question or the situation in which individuals or couples have to determine whether or not they should change for this person. I'm always interested in that conversation because I feel like one side of it, it's good. Change is okay in relationships, and I think that for long-term relationships, damn near change is a necessity. And it doesn't always have to be big, right? It could be like the simplest stuff that was like when me and my boyfriend, dating him, I've learned some like toxicness within myself.
Yeah.
And it happened a lot where I would respond in a way and he just would like not respond back in the way that
you
was
probably
triggering.
used to. Yep.
Yeah, or like it wouldn't be, and he'd just be like, okay, like, why do you feel that way? And I'm like, what
you care about how I feel?
You care about how I feel? I just cussed you out, called you all types of motherfuckers.
Yeah, yep.
So let's talk about some benefits, I guess. Like, what are some of the benefits of being willing and open to change? I'm doing air quotes, change. Change.
Yeah, no, I actually love this question. Yeah. And I also want to preface the answer.
Let's do it.
By saying I appreciate this platform because I feel like a lot of conversations about relationships, specifically like our age group, young Black folk, very, very toxic.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
unrealistic.
So dangerous to like us specifically. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I appreciate that your platform isn't that,
Thank you.
So we can have those like
real conversations. Yeah. And I think, side note to that, I think a lot of the podcasts that have the toxicity around relationships, it'd be a whole bunch of single people.
Yeah.
The blind
leading the blind.
You don't even want to get married. Why are you talking about marriage?
Yeah.
Like, dude. So, thank you.
Yeah, no,
that's the goal.
Of course. So, I'm thinking about, what does change mean? Like, what is that? And I feel like if this was a client asking me, I feel like the first thing that I would want to do is explore, like, what is your definition of health?
Okay.
Right? So what does a healthy relationship look like with other people, with yourself? Because I also feel like there is a boundary where it's like, change is inevitable. Like, the person you are today is not the person you were when you were 2 years old. Relationships stretch people, whether it be platonic, familial, or whether it be romantic. And so when I think about how much change is good and bad, it's going to be based on the person.
That's true. It's very situational. I agree.
Very, very situational. But to be in relation with another person, no matter if it's romantic or not, and feel like I ain't going to change for this person, I would want to explore that more.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I feel like what comes to mind for me too is, again, like you said, it's situational. So it's like, I think the question is, and this is coming from my experience, like, is this change, like, does it make you feel like a better person?
Right.
Like, or is it in the reverse, in situations where I felt like I had to change, or I felt like they were changing me?
Yeah.
I felt like this ain't me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not allowing me to be myself. But then the devil advocate to that, right? It's like, even if you change and you don't feel like yourself, well, what if your previous self was extremely toxic and not, conducive to a healthy relationship? So I like that you, didn't give like a complete answer, like this is, the solution to that. It really just depends on what that change is doing for you.
Exactly. And I also think with social media and all of these like comments and perspectives, I feel like we are no longer empowering people to trust themselves.
Yeah.
Like, and trusting your intuition, trusting your gut, trusting how you feel internally. You know the difference between am I changing for good, am I changing for bad? Yeah. Is this stretching me past, maybe some traumatic experiences? Or is this leading me into more trauma? Like, you know what feels good, whether it's like you start cramping, whether it's like you can't sleep, like you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, that power ball, I always give that back to my clients. Like, you get what I'm saying? So
how is this making you feel? And that's always a question that therapists ask.
Yes,
how does that make you feel?
Because it's like, also, what's healthy, what's considered health for me, it may not be the case for my client. And it's not that that's wrong, but I come with my own bag of shit.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And you can't put that on other people.
Yeah. To me, I think it's the key word there. Like, to you, to me, to him, to them.
Yes.
It's going to mean different things, right? So another thing that comes to mind, I'm gonna be like throwing out questions and quotes and stuff to you. This idea that, and this used to be my idea. If you know me, you should know what I want.
I know what you're about to say.
And like, if this person is for me, I shouldn't have to change.
That is so. Where's the camera? That is so unrealistic. That is so unrealistic.
I had to learn that. I really believe that shit.
No. Prior to being a therapist, I too thought that if this person is your soulmate, like they gonna know. You don't have to explain yourself.
And just men in general. I'm sorry. Yes, he walked out the room. Men in general don't know shit. They know what they know, but like when it comes to relationships and even with your kid, like you really do have to let them know.
Yeah.
And if more than anything in this relationship, he has really taught me to like, one, be confident in being able to express what it is that I need and feeling comfortable enough to, understand my needs and be okay with providing that and acknowledging like, hey, I wasn't doing that before. I'm sorry. I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I also feel like that's one of the key kind of things. Like, is this a lack of, feeling like if I say something out of my mouth that this person won't honor it, that this person won't affirm it, that this person, you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Also, think about how it feels to try to read somebody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's too much work for any human.
Nobody can do that.
Any human.
And I'm real big on, like, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So I'm very outward with my, like, you're going to know when something's wrong with me.
Real same.
So, like, in the reverse, someone like him who's, like, he's a little bit more chill. He's a Cancer. So he's a little bit more.
Cancer.
When your birthday, girl?
July 2nd.
July 18th.
Okay. Yeah.
So, he's a little bit more emotional, but he's still like culturally, like just his environment, his upkeeping, like he's very reserved. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I do have to like ask him, I'm like, I can't read minds. So the audacity of me to expect this man to know what the hell it is I want. Like, girl, please.
Vulnerability is our superpower.
It is.
And I feel like, I don't know if you heard of Brene Brown.
Yes.
That's her whole spiel.
Yep.
But also, no shade, we love Brene, but Brene is also a white woman.
Yeah.
So it's like her walk about this earth looks completely different.
It's a little different.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But we are not socialized to be vulnerable.
At all.
I literally every single day is like a battle. Like even being in a relationship, being with somebody that's emotionally mature, being with somebody that like
it's so different.
First off, this man is awesome. He gonna watch this and he just gotta know, like,
we love you, babe.
No, literally, like I love it here.
Yes.
But it's like little voices in my head, like I tell him how I feel and. Like, just expressing, like, my gratitude and my appreciation for, like, just who he
gratitude.
is. Yes.
That's important.
For who he is. And it's like a little voice in the back of my head. It's like, girl, don't give him too much. Because as soon as he know that you really mess with him.
He gonna do the most.
That's how you get,
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I have to unlearn this trauma. Because you know what? If this man hurt me, cool. Okay. Mm-hmm. That puts me closer to my husband. I think it's him though, but
I think it's him now.
Like so, like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is your superpower. Being able to communicate what's right here, out here. That's where we want to be. Yeah. The world would be a better place if we did.
And I think it's important too to be vulnerable in relationships and thinking about the topic of like knowing whether or not you should change or obviously if it's something that's going wrong that isn't working and you guys come to a compromise because it for sure requires compromise and trust and self-awareness. Like you have to be aware of yourself and just kind of knowing what it is that you do and you don't want. Like knowing what's really no to you and what's really yes to you is going to help.
Yeah.
And I think that us as women sometimes, like, we don't want to be, like, as bold and, trying to be more submissive. And it's like you can still be submissive, but, like, stand on your boundaries. Like, this is what it is that I do and do not accept.
Yeah.
And they're either going to take heed to it or they're going to, it's going to be too much for them, and that's not the person for you.
Exactly.
But you can't get mad if you don't say nothing either.
Exactly.
And I've learned that.
Yeah. Do not have no man out here being no mind reader. And you don't be a mind reader for anybody else. And not that it's like the relationship has to end because this person won't, may not know how to communicate their emotions, but it's about creating a space. Like, look, how about this? Safe space. We here. We got 10 minutes. Tell me what's on your mind. It may not make sense. Like, it may not feel like it A plus B equals C, but just get it out. Get it out of here, and we're gonna figure out what we can do with this. You get what I'm saying?
You're saying like within your relationship, within your relationship,
yeah. It's so hard to talk about. People don't. We are not taught nowadays. I feel like younger children are like brought up on more like social emotional learning, but that wasn't our experience growing up.
And we were talking about this in one of my other episodes too. Like, what I said is what I said.
And that's it.
What you crying for, shut it up.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, let's talk about it.
Yep.
Let's talk about it. And we just had a issue with his son, and it's like, we kept asking, like what's wrong? Like, what's wrong? Nothing, no. Your face ain't saying nothing. So, just trying to teach them to be able to express their emotions. And that's a big thing for me because I wasn't always able to do that.
Yeah.
And not saying that, like, my mother shut me down a lot or my parents shut me down a lot. I mean, a good amount of having a Caribbean parent. It's a lot of, like, tough love. And I just want her and him to be able to have that environment where if something's wrong, you're able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because that's going to, teach you to be a emotionally mature adult. I think a lot of what is out here, the toxicity and all that good stuff, it's how we were all raised. But I think this generation, we're supposed to break those barriers. Like, we need to make this change. Or this next group of kids that's going to come up is going to be a revolving goddamn door.
Yeah,
we all
fucked up. Worse. Exactly.
So I wanted to throw one little theory out there. And I'm not sure if you are familiar with it. But when I was kind of looking into this, I like to do research. And it's a thing called self-expansion theory. Is that something within the therapy world that you guys have spoke about? No.
Prior to this, I've never heard of it. But I did a Google search.
Isn't it nice?
I did a Google search, and I was like, oh, okay.
Let's see. Did I put the exact definition? So, because I don't want to get it wrong, right? And it's basically people who expand their image of themselves and are happier with themselves by being able to, like, indulge in activities that are kind of outside of your whatever relationship that you have. But it requires you to kind of, like, challenge yourself. Yeah. And you can do it individually and you can do it, like, within your relationship. And essentially what I got from it is, like, don't lose yourself in a relationship. Yeah. I think it's super important for you to still be your own person. And I think when we're talking about change and things like that, I think it makes it a little bit easier for you to kind of be self-aware when you're able to, do things that, like, make you happy alone. Yeah. Because if you can't do that, and then you trying to expect this person to be a mind reader, and you're already not happy, you know what I'm saying? So I had look it up, you guys, self-expansion theory. They have a bunch of tips and, like, research on it. Different activities like freaking, like, fitness, or, like, one of them was, like, camping. Don't think I'll ever do that. Hiking, like, just doing activities that require you to, like, challenge your mind. Yeah. And it allows you to expand yourself, like, learning more about yourself.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. As far as, like, also not losing yourself and having those, like, just things or those niches that you do in order to just challenge yourself and stay connected with yourself. But, like, it's all easier said than done. When you are, like, combining worlds and people become a part of your day on a daily basis.
Especially if it's healthy. I'll be my man.
I am Little Miss my man. Like, you get what I'm saying? So I hear you. But I just want to, like, people have to give themselves grace because we are also, like, growing and evolving beings. So there is no, like, I have now found out who Jayla is and I just know her. Like, no, I'm figuring out who she is every single day. Yeah. And then it's also, like, you're learning and growing into a relationship with the other person. So, I mean, in regards to what you're saying, like, it's definitely important to still have those, like, those things that you do that make you you.
You have to. Or you have
to stay centered. You have to stay grounded and you have to stay true to, like, who you are at the core. And I feel like when you're able to identify that in your relationship with yourself, then also when you're dating, it's like, oh, this person is bringing me over here, and that ain't even me.
That ain't it.
I don't get down like that. You are able to identify what's healthy and what's not.
Yep.
So,
and I think me getting older, knocking on 30.
Girl, you know me too.
It's around the corner, y'all. But I feel like the 30s is gonna be the new 20s for me, because I know, like, I'm really learning me.
Yeah.
I'm learning me. I know who Ashley is. Like, I'm standing 10 toes down on, like, what it is that I provide, both in my relationship and my, like, professional career. And that professional aspect of it has came within this year, and I'm really like, no, this is what I do. This is what I don't do.
Yep.
All money ain't good money.
Yeah.
And I remember recently I had submitted a proposal, and I was like on the phone. I was on the phone with Kyla, and you know she big for now. Charge more.
Yeah, that's her.
Charge more.
That is her.
And so we were having that conversation. I'm just like, let me. This looks like the invoice is hefty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, that's a lot of money. I wouldn't want to pay that. She's like, no, Ashley, like you are providing this service, and at the end of the day, if you keep bargaining on it and not standing tall on what it is that you want and what you provide, you're going to be upset with yourself at the end of the day because you accepted that. And you can't be upset or with nobody else but you because you accepted that. So she said, what it is that you want, say that.
I needed to hear that.
And I feel like that goes for relationships.
Absolutely.
Like, life in general, but for sure as we're talking about relationships, like, set your whatever it is.
Yeah.
Set your non-negotiables.
Yeah.
You know, and then there are things within relationships that, you know, you have to negotiate. But then there are those things where you're like, this is nah.
Yeah. And I also feel like what helps with that is learning more about your own character.
Yep.
Because like when you don't see it firsthand or you're not like witnessing conversations about things like this, you know, when it comes to relationships and growing up and stuff like that, you really don't. It's so hard to identify what is like, okay, this is good negotiation. Yeah. Okay, I'm being stretched. Yeah. I'm growing. Versus, is he trying me right now? Like,
it's a very thin line.
It's a very thin line. And I feel like for me, what I always go back to is like, I trust the way my body is going to tell me. Like,
my intuition is a motherfucker.
You get what I'm saying? Our bodies respond. They talk to us. Like, everybody, you just have to there are multiple ways to get more in tune with yourself. But, like, you know, it's like, I'm not going to lie. If my stomach drops in a certain way.
It's something wrong.
I'm like,
And it be those situations where the reverse of that, like, where something that is so, like, heavily, like, anxiety stricken, or I have something that's going on that, like, I don't have the solution to or whatever, like, even my body will, like, my stomach won't drop.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, stop stressing. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, that happens to me a lot. And it's just like, I feel really good.
Yes.
I might get through this.
Exactly. Exactly.
I always either, whether I lost something or misplaced something or, you know, forgot something at work. And I'm just like, it's okay, girl. You're going to find it. What happens?
You either find it or you get something better.
Exactly.
Like, your body will communicate with you.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I want us as a people, as a generation, to trust ourselves more. We have access to too many people.
Oh, we do.
So it's like, oh, should this be? Trust. Literally trust yourself.
Yeah.
Like, who's to say I'm really a therapist? Like, I told you, but like, did you look it up? Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
I could be a fraud.
Not everybody's about to Google you. Let me go see it.
You can Google me. You can Google me.
I'm stamped, honey. But that's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
We have to trust ourselves because also, like, I've had friends that haven't had good experiences with therapists, and it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. But even in that instance, it's like, it's also another human. So you got to know, like, this not a good fit, or this person isn't. It's
not working.
Your body gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Whatever you ground yourself in is gonna tell you. If it keep you up at night, come on now.
Yeah. You'll know.
Cut the tie. It was great working with you, young lady or young man, but I got to go.
This ain't gonna be it. Yeah. This is very true. And like you said, even with your therapist, like, that's somebody that you pick. And even side note to that, I had learned this while I was pregnant with my daughter. You are paying these physicians. this is who you picked. So if it's something that you don't like, it's okay to find another doctor.
It's also okay to express
and
yourself.
You can express that. But she just like, I can just tell like the cultural, and when it comes to like, and this is a whole nother topic, I'm gonna try to make this brief. But when it comes to like OBs and like labor and delivery for Black women, there's a lot of things that should be discussed, especially as a first time mom, like just different, within your ethnicities, like there are different medical issues that can arise just by being an African American woman. Family history, a lot of that, like she just skipped over. And she just wasn't like, she wasn't there for me like I needed her to be, especially as a first time mom. And I'm just like, I don't feel like I know anything. And, you know, University of Chicago is expensive. I need better. And so, you know, I was able to kind of leave that. So just always know that it's like, it's your decision. And you have the power to, you know, like you said, it's not working. So let's find something else. So there
and
it
owning
is. And owning it. Exactly. We need some, damn, it's all the way down there. Champagne. So I want to ask too, right? We talk a lot about mental health and within the Black community, right? One, with your experience, are there any, I guess like myths or like misconceptions about like Black people when it comes to therapy? Because with you working with majority Black clients, was there anything where you were like, oh no, this is, you know, they say Black people don't go to therapy at all, or, you know, stuff like that. Was there any like things that stuck out to you in your experience?
Yeah, there definitely were like misconceptions that,
and I'm gonna pour us up while
of course, that stuck out to me. I mean, I feel like I'm over here trying to figure out where do I start.
It's that many. Oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah, I feel like, I'm like, dang, what angle do I take? Like,
the world is yours, girl. I'm just pouring up some more champagne.
One misconception, I feel like this is for all people, but I've noticed this a lot in my friends as far as like having relationships with their therapist, and, you know, they'll call me like, yeah, you know, I've been seeing this person or this therapist for the past month. I don't know where sessions are going, and I don't get it. I leave there and I just don't know. You know?
Yeah.
And so my question is like, what you're telling me, have you told them?
Okay.
The answer is always no. But it's because when you're in a space where someone is the expert, you feel like you should shut up and you should just listen.
Yeah.
Does that not tie back into our childhood? Yeah. How we were reared. Shut up, listen, do what you got to do. So everybody want homework. Everybody trying to figure out, like, I supposed to, you should be able, feel comfortable. You're paying for a service regardless. I know it's so intimate and it's so emotional, but you're paying for this service. If you have a question, like, okay, we've been talking about, you know, very similar things for the past 3 or 4 weeks. Can you give me some insight into what you're thinking? Like, where do you see my treatment plan going? Have you even thought about it?
Come on, treatment plan.
Like, no, it's a thing.
Give me the terminology.
Some people need to be involved with their process. I've noticed this with my own clients. And some people was like, girl, take the wheel. Like, I trust you, you know? So we have to feel like, you know, we have that power in the room.
I agree.
You gotta, you have to know what's going on. Own that. Let that person know what you need. I feel like I've had clients that some want homework and some don't. I'm not a homework girl. I'm not a homework girl.
And that was me. I'm like, send me home with something.
I'm not.
And she gave me homework. I mean, we drew out posters and stuff.
Yes. But like, if your client needs that, I'm going to meet you there.
Yeah.
But also,
but you got to tell me that.
You have to tell me that. Because I also know that therapists down the hall, she love to get homework. So, you know, we also have to find a good fit for you. Like, I feel like for me, when it comes to health, when it comes to healing, I don't feel like people are inherently broken, which means I don't feel like people are fixed through therapy.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like people are inherently good and people act in ways that make sense with their context.
Okay.
So 2 Chicago girls are probably going to act different from 2 girls from Virginia.
Very true, yeah.
One is not right and one is not wrong. Exactly. So it's like we all are acting in ways that make sense for our context. So with that being said, I can definitely give. It depends on your theory, but everybody has a fit for them. So it's about being able to advocate for yourself and knowing that you can advocate for yourself. This is not your preschool teacher. This is your therapist that you're paying. Let her know what's up.
Heavy on that you're paying.
Yeah, let her know what's up. It's expensive.
It is, and then if you think about it, too, we go to restaurants. We order stuff, like everybody's able to, return something if they don't like it, or to leave a review if they don't like something, call corporate if they don't like, treat your services and your service providers the same way. Like, I don't know why we are so afraid to do so.
But it's not our fault. Like, going to therapy is already undoing a lot of the stuff that
this is true.
We learned, or that we weren't.
Like, damn, y'all want me to be mature in the process too? I'm here.
It's like, dang.
That's true. That's true.
I booked the appointment. Now I gotta. You know what I'm saying? So it's difficult.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if we weren't taught to be in a space, then we weren't taught to own a space. It's levels to it.
That's a good point.
So that's why I always tell my friends and my loved ones, like, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum of being a therapist. I would love, and I've had clients, but that's also trust, though.
It is.
Like, you have to build that foundation. Yeah. I let my clients know, but it's also because of my theory of choice. I'm not the expert. So, like, we are co-creating this space. I'm here, like, beside you. I'm not leading this. I'm not driving the car. Yeah. I'm not driving the car.
She said, baby, I'm passenger.
I am passenger because you know this road way better than I do. But also, it's not healthy for us to work harder than our clients. I'm going to meet you where you at.
That's true. And I guess that's a good point to put it, too. Like, your therapist is assisting you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Acting as an advocate, as an aid to get you through
because
what it is.
I want you to be able to do this without me.
You have... That's a good point.
Yeah,
that is a good point.
If that's not the case, I am a crutch.
That is a good point.
I am a crutch. No.
Because I think that, and that was that's a good point that you just brought up. Because I remember my therapist when she said like I think you guys, because we were going to, I did premarital with AJ's dad when we thought we were getting married. And just kind of going through a lot of stuff. Like, she would just ask questions that, like, as parents, like, I would have never even asked them that. Yeah. But, like, it was so important to, like, whether or not this is something that we could do. And obviously we decided it wasn't, thankfully. But we started every week. And then it went to bi-weekly, and then it went to monthly. And then when we had monthly sessions for, like, 4 or 5 months, she was like, I think you guys can do this on your own now. Like, she was like, how do you feel? I don't think you need me anymore. And I think that is a goal for a lot of therapists, of course. You just brought that back up for me. I'm like, damn, that's the goal.
And that's, I want to give you the tools. That these people just want to make money and
like, no, I want you out my office.
I actually want you to not want to be here anymore.
And because that's the goal. That's the win for you.
That's the goal. Yes, it's about, for me specifically, I feel like I'm here to highlight and to identify what's already inside of you. If I'm giving you tools, like, yes, I'm the facilitator, but it's already in you. Yeah. It's so many things that cloud that for us that we aren't able to tap into those resources. So it's like, once you're able to identify and you know how to use these tools, like, okay, I'm not going to use a paintbrush to knock down a door. You get what I'm saying? Like, now that's what the conversation is about. So, yeah.
That's good. I love that. Cheers to that, girl. Come on. And I can sit here on this couch and talk with you forever.
And that's the issue.
And you let me know when you looking for clients again. Because I think because I'm in a different space in life now, I think I've crossed another bridge where, what I was doing in the past, like, I had the tools back then to, figure it out. And now I think I'm at a point where it's a lot more on my plate. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do,
And thank you for highlighting that, because there's no end goal to healing. There's no end goal to, now I figured it out. Every step of the way is going to require something different. And
Yep.
You're understanding that the resources that I locked in that last season,
it ain't here no more.
You know, like, I'm gonna need something a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, and that's cool because then in the next season you will know. You know, like, you have understood your like boundary of resources. Like, you know when you can dig into your own toolbox and when you need like somebody else to kind of help you. You get what I'm saying? And that's what it's about.
Yeah. Agreed. And so we can sit here and be very emotionally mature, right? I think I'm proud of myself. I really, I really have gotten to a place where I'm like, okay, I still need to work on myself, but like, I can articulate that. And I feel like that's the first part, but there might be.
That's the only place you need to be.
Exactly. Yeah. But then there might be people who are watching this, who are on the completely opposite side of the spectrum of acknowledgement of self-awareness. And then also because there is so much stigma, I want to get rid of that. I hate it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, the question for me to you is like, from a therapist standpoint, what are some ways that we can like just break this stigma or work to building?
I love this question.
A positive outcome.
I love this question. It starts with access, and that's structural issues. That's beyond us. That's beyond us. I don't have a therapist right now because I can't afford it.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Isn't that that's crazy?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Your therapist can't.
You get what I'm saying? So it starts
like
there.
As a therapist, you should have free fucking therapy.
That's how I feel. I feel like everybody should have free therapy.
Hello.
Let's talk about it.
Specifically for the people who are doing, how the hell am I doing this work? And I guess they figure you could.
Therapath myself, and that's the issue.
Is that the word?
That's
Therapath?
the issue. I made that up.
Oh, okay.
You may want to Google that. I don't know how legit that word is.
Because I was trying to figure out what. I'm like, damn, I don't know what word to say.
I don't know if that word is a word. But
I can heal myself.
Yeah. No. And you shouldn't be in charge of your own healing. That's a message that I want everyone to know. I don't care, black, brown, blue. We all deserve someone that is committed to our development, our growth, because you can only do so much as a mom. You get what I'm saying? You can only do so much as an entrepreneur or a friend. But a therapist is a person that is literally committed to you developing and you seeing your goals, and we all deserve access to that. So I feel like with breaking the stigma, it starts at providing people with access, period. So just a little insight, post-graduation, seeing clients can be very, very heavy for us.
Post-graduation?
In general. So post-graduation, I decided to take a break, and I knew that I wanted to go into full-time work that was peripheral, but like not in the same space, and that's what I've been doing. But for me, what I found
What are you doing now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you got.
Yeah, no, I can disclose it. So I basically work for a national nonprofit, and we have like state campaigns that reduce stigma around substance use disorder, and it also it intersects with mental health, intersects with the prison population. It intersects with a lot of like things that marginalized people experience. So I love the work that I do. It's not therapy, but I know that I'm a part of a larger organization or system that is providing healing to people. So I'm okay with that. But I knew that I needed to take a break because I needed to just get myself together. Yeah. Like, it gets so heavy. Like, it gets so heavy. Sometimes you dream about your clients.
Really? I can imagine that.
Yes, I can imagine that. You have clients where it's like, oh, I know, if they miss a session, they cool. But, you have your clients where it's
if they miss a session, it's a problem.
You can, okay? I need to get in contact. Yeah. That's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with. And so I knew I needed to take a break. I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of just forget where I was going with this. It was somewhere good.
We were talking about like breaking the stigma and like trying to figure out different ways and where we can like make this conversation, I guess, more wholesome.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said,
but I love everything you said. It was great.
Thank you. But I knew that I needed to take a break. Oh, this is where I was going. I knew that I needed to take a break, and so what I found is that for me personally, private practice isn't my go-to. Okay. I love seeing clients in general, but like private practice brings about a certain demographic. Okay. And it's not just race, it's not just income, but it's all of these demographic factors that, people who have access to therapy they're freely coming to you because they have access to therapy.
And they can afford it.
Exactly. They can afford it. Like, that's the trick,
different,
you know? So, but for me, what I found to be so fruitful is to be able to touch the people that are not, they ain't never had a therapist in their life. They don't know what a therapist looks like. They don't know it could look like me, it could look like you, it could look like him. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, that's what I found myself drawn to, because if we don't heal these people, who are?
Yeah.
I feel like y'all who have access to therapy, and I ain't even one of those people, and I'm a therapist. You get what I'm saying? So y'all who have access to that, y'all are going to be taken care of.
Yeah, regardless.
But it's our black and our brown boys. You get what I'm saying? Growing up in Inglewood.
Yeah.
You
Ooh,
get
that's
what
why
I'm saying?
I loved what you did with the 26 hours of peace.
Thank you.
I was like, these little boys need that.
Do you know?
Oh, they need it.
And it's so crazy because, like, they put me there in case of, like, crisis intervention. I knew how it was going to go because I've worked with transition age youth. I love working with, like,
they need it.
I love working with this age group. I had this guy, he has to been, I don't know, maybe 17, 18. I can't really remember. He was so excited to tell me about his birthday.
Really?
He was turning whatever age on April 3rd, and he had a whole lineup of what he was about to do. That is therapy, because you know what? These boys, they're in this space. They're not looking over their shoulder. They're able to be kids.
I was literally going to say that in his everyday life, he's probably not able to be a fucking kid. And
that's has literally to, what it is.
Worry about all types of stuff, or even being excited about your birthday, or, you know, like maybe people
that's a privilege.
You lame as hell, like, you know what I'm saying, like
exactly,
you know, like that part of it, like let these kids be kids.
Let these kids be kids. And so it was a lot of those types of conversations that I was having, and so that's what draws me to this. I feel like everybody God calls you to where you need to be. And for me, I want to be a part of the healing of people that don't have access to, or don't even know what it looks like, don't know where to start. So that's what I'm dealing with, like, in my professional life. Because I'm like, I could do private practice. I could make a few extra dollars, but what that's going to do to me?
Yeah. Or even if you do it and build up that income, and then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Flip it on, you know. Yeah. Can you see yourself with a nonprofit?
Oh, so Avico Collective, it isn't necessarily a nonprofit. I actually want to move it into a consulting organization, because I found that to be just where it's kind of falling. But
this is her brand too.
Yes. So I developed Avico Collective my first year of my second master's, I believe. And it was because community service and outreach is so important to me. So I wanted to bridge the gap between the two, right? How do we provide mental health education and awareness, but also partnering with different organizations at that time in Atlanta, whether it's drives, whether it's food drives, whether it's philanthropy, and kind of bridging those gaps. And so that's where I went with the organization. But what I'm noticing is that I'm also doing, like, consultation work. Like, I'm consulting with different organizations and providing therapy services there. And that's where I feel like home. That's 26 hours of peace.
I'm about to say, stuff like that is phenomenal.
You, it was so long.
Yeah.
It was so long, but I've never felt that fulfilled. Like,
I didn't want to leave.
I did not want to
I had to go
leave.
And get JoJo. AJ was gone for the weekend. I had to go get JoJo, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get him and come back.
Yeah,
and Carla had to tell me, like, girl, it is midnight.
Home.
Take your ass home. I was like, okay, so, like, and I can just see with these kids, like, that is what they needed. And even the kids who had started off like annoyed or irritated, like, oh, this is stupid. I think when they sat down with April, a lot of those kids were like, oh shit.
Yes.
You know? So yeah, I mean, so 26 hours apiece for you guys. I don't know if I ever talked about it on here. There's a guy, McKinley, that is the founder of an organization called Project Swish. And it's here in Chicago. Look it up. He does amazing things for black and brown boys in our communities. And so they had an event that ran for 26 hours straight.
Yes.
And it was different activations, different events. They had a talent show. Like, it put these kids in an environment and off the streets, you know what I'm saying, for a day and a half straight. And they were poured into. Yeah. They learned. They had sex ed. Like, it was like every, like, category on the checklist for little Black boys that, you know, needed everything. And she was there as the therapist and held a session. They did yoga.
They got their hair
yoga.
Locks
they did
retwisted. Yeah.
So it was great.
The whole
it was
nine.
Great. Shout out to him. I need to get him on here. He keeps saying like, I'm gonna come, sis. I'm gonna come. Okay, when?
Right.
McKinley? No. But yeah, so look them up. It's amazing. But I can see that for you, like consulting and doing more of that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's so much more fulfilling. And they need it. We need more Black therapists in general.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's also like the motivation.
Yeah,
that we
absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you see as like the future, or what do you want for the future of mental health treatment, for representation? Like, what would be a goal for you for the Black community?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, access. Access.
I feel like it starts and ends there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Without access, nothing can happen.
Yeah.
Nothing can
I
happen.
agree.
And that's why it's like the work that I'm doing is so important for me, because if no one does it, then what? Then what? Like, you know, these you know, humans, they grow up and they eventually become adults, and now they're leading generations with no guidance, you know, self-awareness, and they don't know what health looks like, you know. So for me, it starts and it ends with access. We all deserve it. Every human being deserves access to mental health care, and adequately.
And isn't it, I don't want to misspeak, but I feel like in Canada it's free.
Girl, I don't know, but whatever
like everywhere
they doing
else
in Canada,
is free.
I feel like whatever is happening outside of the U.S.,
they doing it. They're doing it how it is supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, I feel like stuff like that should be important for our society as well. Like, these are your citizens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, I agree to that. And I think that what we're doing right here, right now, having these conversations, I feel that, and I hate when I see people in comments or like on other posts, like, we just need to get rid of podcasts and it's so stupid. And I disagree, because there's so much that we need to be talking about.
Yeah.
People just aren't using their platforms the right way.
Yeah.
I can come on here and talk about sex and all types of bullshit and get drunk and look stupid and twerk, and I'll get millions of views.
Yeah, very, very true.
I don't want to do that because, one, my kids are going to see this one day, and I want them to be able to watch the entire series of my podcast and be accepting. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, yeah, I curse a little bit.
And that's okay.
They've heard worse shit. But I want this to be a platform that allows us, that create spaces to have, again, my thing is always wholesome conversations.
Yeah.
And I had this girl at a podcast convention. She was the only person that ever asked me this. She said, what do you mean by wholesome? And I was like, oh, shit, what do I mean? But when I sit and I think about it, it's just like, you know, our everyday conversations that make you feel good.
Yeah.
I want you to watch this.
That.
And I want, like, binge eating on freaking soul food makes you feel wholesome some days.
Yeah, then that's wholesome.
Like, I want you to feel good. I want you to be able to relate. And I want us to have these types of conversations that are open, that are real, that are honest, so that people can feel more comfortable to having access or to looking for access.
Yeah.
Or maybe just finding somebody in your family or friend group that you can talk to.
Yeah.
Oh, I watched this podcast, and you know what? This is what I want to talk about, you know? And I think that us as a community, we also need to uplift and highlight, like, our Black therapists. Showing you guys more. Yeah. You know, representing, learning how to have you guys be represented more as well. Because there's so many Black therapists.
There are.
And people just don't know.
There are Black therapists that are licensed in multiple states.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, oh, I found this therapist, but she's in Georgia, but also she's licensed in Illinois. Like, he can do exactly what you need. You know, you need them to do. I appreciate that perspective. And I also just want to come on the whole podcasting thing. I feel like the pandemic hit, and we all was like, what the hell?
What we gonna do?
Oh,
what we gonna do?
How do I find myself again? Like it was
so many businesses rose from the damn pandemic.
Look, it was giving Mr. Krabs meme. Like, it was giving this. So, for real. So I definitely agree with you. Like, with, you know, certain platforms, like, they exhibit a lot of toxicity, and I'm grateful that this isn't that, but also just like the therapist in me, and I'm not a good versus bad type of person, right? Because you deal with so many people. I feel like our voices deserve a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because then it's like we can start to have conversations on, like, why that behavior isn't going to benefit us in future generations. You get what I'm saying? So it all kind of needs to coexist with each other, because then you're able to sit here and be definite about the culture of your podcast.
That's a good point.
You get what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
And you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I'm trying, y'all. Y'all let me know if y'all love it.
You're doing. I always tell people that playing humble, don't. Who else?
And this child, I told you within the last year, I done became like, okay, I am who I am.
Yeah, you're doing.
If I wasn't, then what was?
And you're doing it well. Period.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you are as well.
Oh, thank you.
I love what you're doing. I absolutely love the space that you're in as well. I'm happy for you. I can just see this glow. I can see this glow. You are happy. You are thriving.
I am.
That is what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So I do want to end with asking this question, like, how can we support you?
That's a great question. So you all can follow Avaco Collective on Instagram at advaco.collective. So right now we're a little mute on Insta, but it's because I have some great things planned for the summertime.
Yeah.
And so I would love for you all to stay connected. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, if anyone feels like my services are needed, DM me and we can figure it out. But I'm for the people.
Hello.
Okay.
You feel me?
That's all I need.
Come on, Pedro.
That's it. I'm for the people. So yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This was good. And as always, like I say with each of these episodes, I can talk for so long.
Yeah.
So long.
I know we gotta get out of here.
I know.
Our producer is tired. You tired?
He gets to go home today, so
okay.
he's usually here longer than after I'm filming. So you get to go home. But again, thank you for being here. This is a pleasure. I hope anybody that's watching this, like she said, if you feel like her services could, work for you, or even if you just have questions, we're open. Like, go ahead and DM her if you want to ask anything, want to make any comments. I'm sure you guys we're gonna have good conversations once this episode comes out in the comments, because you guys always do. And yeah, we're gonna keep it pushing, keep spreading awareness for mental health, and just being advocates for you all to have spaces to have real conversations, real life things that you can relate to is always the goal here at the 312. So thank you guys for joining us for yet another episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. I need to get a shirt that just says like, comment, subscribe,
literally,
share, post a review.
All the things.
All of them. Or even if you just watch this and comment and like it, I'll love you for that, and subscribe. But yeah, thank you guys so much. And again, if you are just tuning in, make sure you exit out of this one and go back and catch up and join the community. We are just here to create spaces for millennials to have wholesome conversations. I can't talk today, y'all. To have wholesome conversations, because that is what we need. And that is what we all deserve. So I hope you have a great day. Yeah, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.